I wiped the sweat off my face and let out a quiet chuckle. That morning, I got the news. I was being promoted to shift supervisor over at Allied Freight Systems, starting right away. And to top it off, they were putting me on night shift. Some folks would hate that, but for me it was perfect. See, my son Jake is in his junior year of high school. He plays a few sports and he is part of a couple of clubs. Working nights means I can actually show up for his games and school stuff. I have done night shifts before. I got used to the rhythm. I even figured out how to catch naps in a way that keeps me sane. It is not easy, but I make it work. That Thursday, they gave me a couple of days off before I started. I used the time to get a project moving. I had been planning to fix up the space above my detached garage. I wanted to turn it into a little apartment, a quiet place to sleep during the day, away from the usual noise. One thing I knew I would need was internet. The Wi-Fi from the house barely reached the garage, so I was up in the attic, laying down cable. I figured I would run it all the way to the edge of the house, close to the garage. That way, the signal might actually get through the walls. As I was dragging the cable along the rafters, I paused. I heard something. Voices. At first, I thought I was imagining it. Then I stopped moving, held my breath, and listened harder. I should have been alone. Laura, my wife, was supposed to be at work. Our son Jake was out of town, staying with Laura's parents for a few days. The place was supposed to be empty, but I definitely heard talking, and it was coming from our bedroom. I crawled closer, moving slowly through the attic. There is an old air vent in the ceiling above the bedroom. Laura always said it blew cold air on her neck at night and made it sore, so I had installed a new one across the room. I never got around to sealing the old vent. I just left it in place with no duct connected. That vent ended up being the window to the end of my marriage. I lifted the insulation and peered through. There she was, Laura, in bed, with some skinny guy who was clearly not me. And I knew exactly who he was. Derek Foster. He is a delivery driver where Laura and I both work. He had gone through a divorce not long ago. His daughter is in Jake's class at school. My stomach dropped. My chest felt tight, but I could not stop watching. They were already having sex when I started recording. I pulled out my phone, hit record, and carefully placed it over the vent. The camera had a clear shot of everything. Derek said something like, "I like the way you are." Then he asked her if I ever touched her. Laura said, "Do not mention Tom. That is me. Tom Harris." She said it was not about me, that I was a good husband, a good dad. She sounded guilty, but not enough to stop. Derek laughed. He said something about how it turned him on that they were doing it in my bed, that it made him feel like a winner. I do not know how long I stayed up there. I felt like the air had been sucked out of my lungs. Eventually, Derek rolled off her, and they started talking again. He told her he liked the risk, said it felt powerful doing it in the bed I sleep in. Laura told him she was scared I would catch them, that it could ruin our marriage. He just shrugged and said they could go back to using his apartment, but only if she promised not to sleep with me. If I did, he would want to reclaim his spot as number one. She told him she could not just turn me down completely, that I would expect sex at some point. But then she added, "I will try to hold you off as much as I can, and I will keep these little suicide missions to a mini." That is what she called it, a suicide mission. I stayed up there, flat on the attic floor, soaking in sweat. It was dripping off me and onto the insulation. I did not move. I could not. I just listened as they got dressed and left the room. When I finally crawled back to the attic hatch, my mind was racing. My wife was cheating on me. Not just that. She was making plans to avoid sleeping with me, just to keep this guy happy. I forced a grin. Not out of humor, but out of cold clarity. Laura would not have to worry about refusing sex with me anymore, because she was never going to get that chance again. I showered and thought things through. I kept calm. I did not tell her what I saw. There was no yelling, no dramatic scene. I made up my mind. Jake still had 2 years left in high school. That became my focus. I was going to stay in the house for him. I had no interest in giving it up so that some sneaky coward could take my place. Laura did not seem ready to file for divorce, and that suited me fine. I was gonna wait it out, be there for my son, finish what I started. But things were going to be different now. That little apartment over the garage? It was no longer just a nap spot for the night shift. I was going to live there. I picked up my phone and called a couple of contractors I knew. I asked for quotes. One of them gave me a great deal if I let them start right away. His team was between jobs and needed filler work. I told him to get started Monday morning. I wanted it done fast, clean. No more doing everything myself to save a few bucks. I had a promotion now. I could afford to hire people. For the first time, I understood something. Time is worth more than money. And besides, any money I saved would be half Laura's if we ever split. So why bother? That old version of me, the one who thought doing all the house projects himself made him a better husband, he was gone. I still cared about Jake's future. I was going to make sure college was covered. But beyond that, it was time to start building a new life. And maybe enjoy it a little while I was at it. By the time Laura came home that evening, I was sitting in the kitchen. Calm, clean, dry. Like nothing happened. She walked in and looked surprised. "You are home already?" she asked. "Did something happen at work?" I watched her face. She looked a little older than I remembered. There were fine lines around her eyes. She had put on a few pounds. I wondered why I never noticed that before. Maybe I was blinded by love. "Yeah," I said. "A small issue came up at work. They told me to pack a lunch, get some rest, and come back later. I start nights tonight." She frowned a little. "They should not have you work nights right after a day shift. Even if you had time off during the day. You are going to be exhausted." "Maybe. I think I will lie down for a bit." I started to head for our bedroom. "Wait," she said, a little too quick and loud. "I just remembered. I need to wash the sheets. I stripped the bed earlier." "No problem," I replied, trying not to smile. "I will just crash in the guest room." She seemed tense. That was fine by me. That night, I left the house like I was heading to work. But instead, I hit the local sports bar. Had a couple of beers. Watched a game. Earlier, I had set up an air mattress in the apartment space over the garage. When I knew she was asleep, I parked in the garage and climbed up. I slept like a baby. Next morning, one of the contractors I talked to called me back. He said his crew was free until their next big job kicked off in 2 weeks. If I gave the green light now, they could start Monday and be done quick. I said yes without thinking twice. That night, Laura noticed I was heading to the guest room again. "Why are you sleeping in there?" she asked. "We are barely going to see each other with your night shift. Why not sleep in our bed when you can?" I had my excuse ready. "Since I worked last night and grabbed a few hours of sleep this morning while you were out, I am not that tired yet. I might watch some baseball. Maybe a movie after that. I am trying to get used to staying awake at night. I did not want to disturb your sleep, unless you think we should have sex," I added, raising my eyebrows. She hesitated, just for a second, but I saw it, a flicker of panic behind her smile. "I am really tired tonight," she said softly. "Maybe we can just cuddle and fall asleep. Jake is home too. He might hear us." "Hugs are not enough for me," I said. "When I hold you, I want everything. If sex is off the table, I will keep my distance and sleep in the guest room. You never cared about Jake hearing us before, so this excuse is kind of weak. No need to make something up. I am not going to pressure you." "You are right," she said. "That was lame. I am just tired and not really in the mood. I hope you understand. I understand better than you think. Let me know when the mood strikes. If I am there too, maybe we will reconnect." "Good night," I said, and walked down the hall. The next day was Saturday. I threw the ball around with Jake for a while, then mowed the lawn. When bedtime rolled around, I grabbed a pillow and headed straight for the guest room. Laura watched me walk away. I could feel her eyes on my back. Sunday evening, I left early for work. It was my first official night as shift supervisor. By the time the other workers showed up, I had things running smooth. The crew seemed solid, and I liked them right away. It was more responsibility, sure, but I had seen it all before. Nothing surprised me. I got into the flow fast. No problems. Monday morning, when I got home, Laura had already left for work. The construction guys were there, unloading gear. I talked to the foreman to make sure we were all clear on the plan, then went inside and crashed. I got woken up a few times. The hammering upstairs was loud, and the landline in the guest room rang once. I forgot to turn off the ringer. I picked up, half asleep. "Hello. Sorry, Tom. Did I wake you?" It was Beverly, my mother-in-law. I sat up, annoyed. "Is that why you called? To ask if I was asleep?" "No need to be rude," she said. "I just wanted to say that Derek and I know you are on night shifts now. We will try not to bother you. If you need help with Jake, let us know." I hung up without answering, pulled the plug on the phone and flopped back down. People can be so clueless sometimes. By Friday, the contractors were wrapping up. I could not believe how fast they worked. 4 days and they had the whole place done. What would have taken me 4 months, they finished before the weekend. That afternoon, I went out to buy furniture. I picked up a full-size bed, a small kitchen table with 4 chairs, compact couch. Then I stopped by an appliance store and bought a big TV, a fridge, a stove, and a microwave. By Monday, my little apartment was going to be fully stocked. I laughed to myself when I thought about how confused Laura looked earlier that week. She came home and saw guys crawling all over the garage, and she cornered me, demanding answers. I told her straight up. I hired a crew to finish the space above the garage. I need a quiet place to sleep during the day. I had it double insulated to block out the noise. No phone line, nothing to wake me up. Since I will be working nights, I figured it would be the best way for all of us to get the rest we need. "You will barely notice I am around." She looked stunned. "Barely notice you are around," she repeated. "You are my husband, Jake's father. We are supposed to live under the same roof." "I am still here," I said. "I will pick Jake up from practice, go to his games. We will still have dinner together. I am not disappearing. Also, I reminded you a few days ago, if you ever feel like getting close again, you can let me know." She rolled her eyes. "Are you bringing this up now?" She crossed her arms. "You act like husbands are just supposed to jump into bed whenever they feel like it. That is not how it works. Marriage is about more than sex. It is about connection, communication, sharing. Do not even try to give me a lecture about marriage," I told her. "I am done comparing what I do for this relationship to what you do. Just tell me when you want me in your bed. That is all." She snapped. "I am not some cow waiting to be serviced. You will not lay a hand on me until you apologize properly. I want a nice dinner, a real apology. Then we will talk." I smiled, turned, and walked away. She stood there, fuming. That night, she tossed and turned, clearly frustrated. I could see it all over her face. She was not mad because I was ignoring her. She was scared. Scared that I did not care anymore. And she was right. By the middle of the next week, I had fully moved into the new place above the garage. Everything was set up just the way I wanted it. That weekend, we had a 3-day break because of Labor Day. School was starting for Jake on Tuesday. I figured it was the perfect time to do something fun. At dinner Thursday night, I brought it up. "How would you feel about going to a Mustangs game this weekend? They are playing the Falcons. It is a big one, playoff race." Jake lit up right away. "That would be awesome. Thanks, Dad." Laura just shrugged. "You know I am not really into baseball," she said. "I will skip it. I will find something to do around here." "I bet you will," I muttered under my breath, just loud enough for her to catch it. "It is settled then," I said. "Jake and I are going Saturday." Jake was pumped. He said he could not wait to tell his buddy Logan, Scooter as everyone called him. That kid was a huge Falcons fan. Used to live in San Vista before moving here. "Why do not you invite him?" I asked. "Baseball is always more fun with friends." Jake was already grabbing his phone. "Thanks, Dad. I will call him right now." Laura looked over at me. "You made Jake happy," she said. "Baseball really is a good way for dads to bond with their boys. Horace is a nice kid." "Wait, his real name is Horace?" I asked, shaking my head. "No wonder he goes by Scooter. What kind of parents do that to a child?" Laura ignored the comment. "Jake told me his dad passed away 2 years ago. Brain aneurysm. Sad story. His mom moved here to be closer to her parents. They are both in poor health. I nodded. Well, I will just call him Scooter and act like I never heard the real name. When Saturday rolled around, I pulled up to their place. It was a clean little ranch house in a good neighborhood. I did not even finish parking before Scooter ran out the front door. He jumped in the truck beside Jake. Mr. Harris, my mom says she wants to meet you before we head out. Just to make sure you are not some serial killer or something. That is fair, I said, getting out and walking up to the door. She opened it before I even knocked. She was around my age. Not flashy. Pretty plain looking. But there was something about her. She had strong legs, probably a runner. Her shorts showed just enough to notice. Flat stomach. Small chest. No nonsense. She caught me looking. My legs are probably my best feature, she said, completely straight-faced. I blinked. Yeah. They are impressive. So she grinned. Do you think I should let my son go off with a guy who stares at every woman he sees? I tried not to laugh. I am just trying to raise a gentleman, she added. I saw the twinkle in her eye. She was joking. I decided to play along. What you are really asking, I said, is whether you can trust your boy with a man who still notices a good-looking woman. That is just part of being a man. I can teach him what to notice and how to behave. Just make sure you are not too obvious while you are doing your lessons. She shot back, still smiling. First thing I will teach him, I said, is to punch anyone who calls him Horace. Except you, of course. She laughed. So, my son is going to grow up tough and appreciate women's legs. That about right? Sounds like a solid plan to me. I like that. You are all right. She extended her hand. Name is Melissa. Seriously? What do your friends call you? Well, my male friends call me things like Candy, Raven, or Minx. But real friends? Just Melissa. I am Tom. But I kind of like Minx. Of course you do, she said, laughing. Scooter can go with you anytime. I like your sense of humor. Jake is a good kid, so I figured his dad would be solid. Thanks for letting him come. We are a baseball family. My dad even played in the minors before I was born. Almost made it big. Scooter is a great kid, I said. I will keep him safe. See you at the game, Minx. The game was a blast. Scooter caught a foul ball and both boys went wild. They ate way too many hot dogs, drank more soda than they should have, and passed out in the back seat of the truck before we even pulled out of the parking lot. When we got back to Melissa's place, I walked Scooter to the door. She opened it with a smile. Too much junk food and sugar, I told her. Classic ballgame combo. Of course, she said. That is what ballparks are for. Thanks again, Tom. I really appreciate you taking him. No problem. Logan is a great kid, Minx. See you at practice. After that day, things fell into a pretty steady rhythm for me. I would get home from work in the morning, have a small breakfast, and then sleep from around 9 until 3. The insulation and blackout curtains made it easy to stay asleep, even when the house got noisy. On weekends, I still slept in the garage apartment. Laura brought it up once or twice. Why do you always sleep in that man cave? Even when you are off. I would just look at her and ask, do you need anything from me? That shut her up. I knew what she was really worried about. If I kept sleeping out there, Derek could not sneak into our bedroom without risking getting caught. That apartment was messing with her setup, and she did not like it. Good. She had no plans to leave me, and I had no interest in starting a war. Not yet. My goal was simple. Stay married until Jake finished high school. After that, we would see. Since I was getting less physical work at my new job, I bought one of those all-in-one home gym setups and installed it in the apartment. Turned out it actually worked pretty well. As long as I stuck with it. I went to all of Jake's practices and games. Before long, the coach started asking me to help out on the side, working with a few of the other kids. Jake was doing great, but Scooter surprised me. That kid had something special. He started off unsure, kinda quiet. But once we spent a few weekends working out together, his game took off. It also helped me blow off steam. I was not getting any action at home, so spending hours hitting baseballs with the boys felt like a decent substitute. By the middle of the season, Scooter was playing shortstop and hitting like a pro. Jake was batting third and playing center field. I was proud of both of them. Funny thing, I started noticing some of the other moms acting different around me. They laughed at all my dumb jokes, brought baked goods to practice but always made sure I got a slice first. Gave me these looks like I was some sort of local celebrity. I figured it was harmless. Until Melissa and I were sitting on the bleachers one day and I asked her straight up, "Hey Minx, you noticed the moms acting weird around me lately?" She raised an eyebrow. "You are just now picking up on that? What is going on?" She smiled. "Well, the single ones think you are a good catch. You are a solid dad. Decent job. You are not half bad looking either. But I am married. That is why none of them have made a move. Yet, Melissa leaned in. "Let me explain something. They all know Laura is cheating on you." I sat there stunned. "What? They know? And on top of that, they all heard that you two are not sleeping together anymore. How the hell would they know that?" Melissa looked straight ahead. "Because Derek talks. And Laura probably told him. And you know how gossip works in this town. You already suspected something, did you not?" "I knew," I said. "I just never suspected." She turned to me, confused. "Wait, what?" "I caught them. Saw them. In my bed. Through the vent in the ceiling." "Jesus. Yeah. So you stayed married?" "I figured it was better for Jake. I switched to night shifts. Built a separate place to live. I told her it was for better sleep. She believed it. Derek told her not to sleep with me. He said every time she did, he would demand to reclaim his place in the bed. She did not want that drama. So she stopped coming near me." Melissa sat there, quiet for a moment. "You are clean? You got tested?" "Right after I caught them." "And you are not sleeping with her?" "Never again. No interest." She shook her head. "What a damn waste. You are a good man, Tom. Better than most. And she is screwing around with that clown?" I laughed. Maybe I should be flattered. Apparently I am the talk of the bleachers. Melissa looked at me with this serious kind of calm. "Tom, you need to know something else." "All right," I said. She sighed. "Some of the moms want to make a move. They are just waiting until you are officially available. But I am not. I am still married. That does not mean much around here," she said. "They see you as a free agent. Everyone knows what Laura has been doing. And when they hear that she basically cut you off, well, they figure it is only a matter of time." I leaned back on the bench, rubbed my face. "This whole town knows? Are you serious?" "Pretty much," she said. "I am sorry. I thought you should hear it from someone who actually gives a damn." "Thanks," I muttered. I was still trying to wrap my head around the fact that strangers knew more about my marriage than I ever planned to tell them. Melissa changed the subject. "You know what worries me?" "What?" "Scooter has a crush on Samantha." "Samantha Grant? Derek's daughter?" "Yeah." "That is rough." "She is a sweet girl," Melissa said. "Has no clue her dad is a total piece of trash." I shook my head. "At least Jake is not going after her. That would be a disaster." Melissa grinned. "He is into Emily, Holly Ingram's daughter. That actually makes sense. She shows up to every game and cheers like crazy for him." I noticed. "She seems like a good kid. I remember her dad and uncles from school. Good family." 2 nights later, we had our first playoff game. Big one. District championship. As game time got close, I realized I was more nervous than Jake. That did not stop the moms, though. The same 3 were all over me. Norma Wilson had this top on that showed half her chest, and she kept leaning in way too close to look for something. Brandy Dorn wore a tight sweater and kept asking me about the players, even though she had been at every game. Then there was Jillian Patterson. She skipped subtle. She stood so close her chest was pressed against my arm half the time. I was getting pretty good at dodging all 3 of them. Then I heard a voice behind me. Familiar. Sharp. I thought I would join my husband this evening to watch our son play. It was Laura, speaking louder than she needed to. She squeezed into the seat beside me and gave the other women a look that could cut steel. "What is going on, Tom?" she asked. "The game is about to start," I said. Jake looked sharp during warm-ups. "Nice try," she snapped. "Why are all these women hovering around you like flies? You are not allergic to silicone, are you? If you are asking me to explain the female brain, you are out of luck. I do not have the manual." "I am surprised you are here," I added. Jake has a big game. I came to support him. She narrowed her eyes. Obviously, some of these women are not just here for their kids. You have missed every other game this season, I said. What changed? She hesitated. Just a beat. Then said, I made time. This game matters. And we have not spent time together lately, with your night shift and all. We sat down. She kept glancing around, clearly aware of the other moms staring at her. Especially Melissa, who sat a few rows away, relaxed and quiet like she always was. Her hair done up nice, shorts a little short for the weather, but she pulled it off. Then the game started. First 2 batters struck out. Then Jake stepped up to the plate. First pitch flew by his head. Second pitch came in low and wide, but he connected. Sent it screaming down the line for a solid double. Scooter came up next. He looked bigger this year, more sure of himself. Pitcher tried the same scare tactic, high and inside. Melissa leaned forward. So did I. Let him try that fastball again, I whispered. Next pitch, Scooter crushed it. Crack. The ball soared over the fence in center field. The crowd went nuts. Jake jogged home, gave Scooter a high five at the plate. Melissa watched with tears in her eyes. I could feel her pride from where I sat. And me? I had tears too. All those weekends. All those hours at the park. They paid off. It was more than just baseball. It was the beginning of something better. A few nights after the game, Derek was in bed with Laura again. Business as usual for them. He was smug, lying there like he owned the place. Let me get this straight, he said. You really have not had sex with your husband since the day we hooked up in this house? That is right, Laura replied. You told me to stay away from him, so I did. Ever since he started working nights and moved into the apartment, we barely even touch. We have not even held hands. That is insane, Derek said. The guy is not that old. And you are hot. He would never just give up on sex like that. Is he gay? Or seeing someone? He is not gay, Laura said quickly. He is a good man. He is loyal. He would never cheat on me. Derek raised an eyebrow. You sure about that? No normal man walks away from a woman like you unless he has something else going on. He just works a lot. He comes home, eats, and sleeps. On weekends, he works outside. That is it. Derek laughed. I am not buying it. If he is not sleeping with you, he is definitely sleeping with someone. Makes things easier for us, though. He gets what is his. I get what used to be his. Laura did not say anything at first. Then she tried to explain. It is not like that. This is just temporary. He has been distracted with work and Jake's baseball. I deserve to enjoy myself too. I cook. I clean. I work full-time. I deserve some fun. Derek smirked, clearly pleased with himself. That is what I like to hear. Just give me the green light when we can do it in your bed again. That still gets me going. That comment stayed in Laura's head the next day, especially when she noticed the other women around Tom. They were young, fit, some with big chests and perfect hair, all giving him attention. She started to feel nervous. That night at practice, she saw Melissa sitting off to the side, quiet as usual. Laura smiled and walked over, sat right next to her like they were best friends. Hey Melissa, good to see you again. Logan has really grown into a great player. You should be proud of him. I am, Melissa replied, clearly cautious. Jake is doing great too. Tom has really been helping both of them. He has been a great mentor to Logan. Yeah, Tom's a little too good sometimes, Laura said, letting her smile linger. She glanced toward the group of moms who were always circling Tom. You see how those blondes with the big chests always crowd around him? Melissa raised an eyebrow but said nothing. I wanted to ask if you could help me out, Laura continued. I know Tom would never cheat under normal circumstances, but those women are shameless, always throwing themselves at him. Help you how? Melissa asked. You want me to spray them with cold water? You know I cannot always come to these practices. Work and family stuff, Laura said. But you are always here. You are not his type, no offense. So if you just kind of stay near him, keep him distracted, it might keep those other women off him. I would really appreciate it. Melissa looked at her like she had lost her mind. Let me get this straight. You want me to hang around your husband and act like a fake shield? Just because you think I am plain and not a threat? I did not say that, Laura replied quickly. I just know Tom. He is less likely to fall for you than some cheerleader look-alike. I am asking you to help him stay loyal. Melissa's expression changed. Let me ask you something. If Tom cheated on you, would that be a deal-breaker? Of course it would. That would destroy our marriage. I could never accept that, Laura said. I see. So cheating is a hard line for you. It breaks the contract, Melissa said. Got it. She stood up slowly. Do me a favor. Make sure Tom knows I will do my part. After all, who better to keep a man loyal than a flat-chested, boring woman? Laura opened her mouth to respond, but Melissa was already walking away. Next day at practice, I told Melissa what Laura had said the night before. So, Laura wants me to stay close to you. Says it will help keep the blonde army off your back, Melissa said, shaking her head. She thinks I am harmless. Why do I not feel any safer? I joked. Because you are not, she grinned. You know better than anyone. There is no such thing as a safe single woman. Big boobs or not. I looked at her. You are one of the most attractive women I have ever met, I said. And I am not just talking about looks. That made her blush. You are making my job harder, she replied. You keep talking like that, I will have to book you for daily attention. I will book myself. You are going to need an eye exam after baseball season ends, she said. I got perfect vision. I just misjudged my wife, that is all. Maybe she misjudged us, Melissa said. If you actually mean that. Later that week, something changed. Melissa started sitting closer to me during games. Close enough that the other moms got the message. It worked. They all backed off fast. Some looked disappointed. Some looked shocked. Turns out, all it took to get them to give up was one skinny brunette sitting next to me with her legs crossed. The next game was in Rockfield, about 3 hours away. Because it was a big one, the team was traveling the day before and staying overnight in a hotel. Some parents, like me, were driving down on their own and booking separate rooms nearby. I offered Melissa and another couple a ride. We talked about baseball the whole way. The kids, the team, and how far we could go if we kept winning. When we got there, I helped the other dad carry his bags into their hotel. Melissa stood beside me. What hotel are you staying at? She asked. The one just down the road. I got a room at the Oak Crest. Me too, she said, grinning. I blinked. Wait, I never told you where I was staying. How did you know? I didn't. I tilted my head. You really just happened to book the same place? I guess I am lucky, she said, still smiling. When we pulled into the parking lot, I turned to her. Want me to wait while you check if they have a room? She shook her head. I am good. I will wait for you right here. I walked in, got my key, and came back to the truck. She was standing there with her bag already slung over her shoulder. I held out the room card. You want one of these? Room 207. Melissa took it. That is a very thoughtful offer. Then she leaned in and kissed me on the cheek. Let's go to bed, she whispered. It is going to be a long night. Next morning, I woke up more tired than when I went to bed. But it was a good kind of tired. At first, I wrestled with the idea of what we had done. I had never cheated on anyone in my life. Not once. But Melissa saw it coming. She looked me in the eye and said, Let's look at this logically. Your wife cheated on you. She cut you off from sex. She sleeps with another man and agreed to stop touching you just to keep him happy. Even if she did not say it out loud, that ended the contract. And if she is having unprotected sex, then she is putting your health at risk. You got tested. You are clean. I have been on birth control for a month. I was hoping for this. So unless you think I am just too plain, or not enough for you. Why not? I stared at the ceiling. Minx, you are beautiful. Never say you are not. She smiled softly. Laura thought I was the perfect decoy. The plain, safe woman. No chance her husband would be into me. She really thought I was invisible. You are not invisible to me. Thanks, Tom. But I need to tell you something else. I nodded. Both of my parents are in hospice. They will probably pass soon. My brother and I have been handling things. Also, I sent video clips of Scooter's games to a coach I know at a prep school in San Vista. If he gets a scholarship, we might move back there next school year. I like you a lot. But this thing between us, it is not forever. I sat up. I get that. You helped me feel like a man again. Like I mattered. She touched my hand. And you reminded me what real kindness feels like. I smiled. Scooter deserves the shot. He has real talent. If that school can help him grow, I support it. It is kind of funny, she said. You are the reason we might leave. Your coaching made him better. And your help gave him a shot. That means we will have to say goodbye. Eventually, I looked her in the eye. This does not feel like a one-night thing. She grinned. There are 6 months until school starts. That is a lot of time. Unless you are too old for a steady diet of hot sex and decent conversation. I laughed. I am not dead yet. Good. Because I plan to keep you busy. I raised an eyebrow. You gonna live up to your nickname, Minx? She leaned in and whispered. Every damn day. When I got home from that road trip, something had shifted. Laura could feel it. She did not know why, but she knew something was different. Maybe it was the way I walked through the door, or the fact that I smiled, calm and easy, like I had finally exhaled after holding my breath for too long. She tried to act normal, made a big dinner, even brought out the wine. I sat down, thanked her, ate a plate, and then stood up. Thanks for the meal, I said. I am going to sleep in the apartment. She followed me to the door. Why are you always sleeping out there? She asked again. I need space. I need rest. And if I am being honest, I feel more at peace over there. She folded her arms. Is there someone else? I looked her dead in the eye. Would it matter? She flinched. Of course it would matter. We are married. I nodded. We are. But you stopped acting like it the day you climbed into bed with Derek. Her mouth dropped open. You knew? I have always known. How? I was in the attic that day, running cable. I heard voices, looked through the old vent. I saw everything. She looked sick, turned pale. Her hands started to shake. Why did you not say anything? Because of Jake. Because I wanted to finish raising our son in one piece. Because I did not want a war. She sat down hard, like the truth knocked the wind out of her. You knew? This whole time? Yes. And you just kept living here like nothing happened? Not like nothing happened. I moved out to the garage. I stopped touching you. I stopped pretending. She looked up at me, tears in her eyes. I made a mistake. Yeah. You did. I was stupid. I got caught up in something I thought was exciting. I thought you were drifting away from me. You thought I was drifting? I was killing myself to support this family. I missed sleep, missed time, took extra shifts, all for you and Jake. She nodded slowly, like her body was heavy. I see that now. I never stopped loving you, Tom. I swear. Maybe that is true, I said. But you stopped respecting me. You gave away something sacred, and once it is gone, it is gone. She wiped her face. Is there someone else? I paused. There is someone who treats me the way I deserve to be treated. She cried harder now, hands over her face. I never wanted to lose you, but you already did. I walked out the door and shut it behind me, quietly. A couple days later, I was in the garage apartment, finishing some paperwork for work. The sun was just starting to set, warm light coming through the blinds. That is when I heard a knock on the door. I opened it and found Laura standing there, eyes red, shoulders slumped, like the weight of everything had finally settled on her back. Can I come in? She asked. I stepped aside. She sat on the edge of the small couch, holding herself like she was cold. I have been thinking a lot, she said. Okay, I know I messed up, and I do not expect you to forgive me, but I need to tell you something. Go ahead. I thought I was just looking for attention, some spark, something new. I thought Derek gave me that, but it was fake. All of it. I know, I said. You were always solid, steady, quiet. I took that for granted. I thought it meant you stopped caring. But you never stopped caring. You just did not make a show of it. I stayed because of Jake. But that is not the whole truth. Part of me stayed because I did not want to become a man I could not respect. She nodded, and I turned into a woman I do not even recognize anymore. She wiped her face. I know I do not have the right to ask, but is there any chance you could forgive me? I looked at her for a long moment. Forgiveness and trust are not the same thing, Laura. I can forgive you. That is for me. That lets me breathe. But trust? That is something else. You broke it, and I do not know if it can ever come back. She nodded again. Quiet. Is there someone else? She asked. I already answered that. Is it Melissa? I said nothing. She exhaled. It is her. Isn't it? I stood up, walked to the window, looked out over the backyard where Jake used to run around with his wiffle bat and glove. Melissa has been kind to me. Honest. She knows everything and never judged me. She has seen the worst of this and still sat beside me. She treats me like I matter. Laura stood up. She is not your wife. You stopped being that a long time ago. There was silence. She moved toward the door. I guess I just came here hoping there was still a version of us somewhere in your heart. There is. In the past. She opened the door and turned to face me one last time. Do not let her break your heart. I will not. She left. Quiet. No door slam. No tears this time. Just a silence that said everything. A few weeks passed. Fall rolled in. The leaves turned. The air got crisp. Jake kept doing great in school and on the field. Scooter too. Those two were like brothers now. Always pushing each other, always laughing. Melissa and I, we settled into something steady. Not flashy. Not perfect. But real. She would swing by after work. Bring me coffee. Tell me what nonsense Scooter got into that day. Sometimes we would talk for hours. Sometimes we would not say much at all. Felt easy. And when we were together, really together, it felt like the world finally made sense again. One night, we were sitting out behind the garage. Stars overhead. Crickets chirping. She leaned her head on my shoulder. You doing okay? She asked. I think so. Do you miss her? I miss who I thought she was. Melissa nodded. That makes sense. I turned to her. You ever think about going back to San Vista? Sometimes. Especially if Scooter gets that scholarship. I would go for him. Not for me. What about us? She looked at me. We will figure that out when we get there. One step at a time. I took her hand. You gave me back something I thought I lost forever. What is that? Hope. She smiled. You gave me that too, Tom. We sat there for a long time. No rush. No plan. Just two people who had been through hell and somehow found each other in the quiet after the fire. And that was enough.